Should I buy a Wii U in 2020 is the question that you're probably asking if you clicked on this video. The way that we're going to be answering that question is, so the first part of the video is going to be some reasons why you probably shouldn't buy a Wii U in 2020, and then the second part of the video is going to be why you should. So it's a bunch of reasons why you should and shouldn't, so that you can come to your own conclusions whether you should buy it or not, but also give you some advice whether I think you should buy it and really what my opinions are on the Wii U. So let's get started. So you might actually think that the Wii U would just be really cheap because it's a pretty old system, but if you compare it to the Switch and the Switch Lite, it's really not that cheap. So on eBay, I found that the Wii U was around $150, and I'm using US dollars because I think that's where most of my audience is and most of the people that will be watching this. It's around $150, which is really cheap. The Nintendo Switch Lite is $200 US, so the price between a Switch Lite and a Wii U is really not that much. So it might mean that you want to get a Switch Lite instead because it's really not that much more expensive. So if you want to compare it to the regular Nintendo Switch, it's a bit different though, because the regular one is $300, so it is actually like double the price that you'd be paying for a Wii U. So if you really want to play on the console, then I can understand, like, if you want to play on the TV, you could get a Wii U instead of a Switch Lite. But if you really want to play the Switch games, I definitely recommend getting a Switch Lite. So the next reason why I don't think you should buy a Wii U in 2020 is all of the online games, like the big games of the Wii U, were mainly like, so Mario Kart 8, you don't really need online for that. Super Smash Bros, again, you don't need online. You can play those with your friends, beside each other. But then Splatoon 2, you really need online for that, and the online, like, it's still pretty active. You'll be able to get in matches, but it's really just kind of dead. Like, it's not updated anymore because there's sequels on the Switch. So the online communities for those, although it's not completely dead, it's not anything like what it used to be, and it's nothing compared to how the Nintendo Switch is. Almost every game on the Wii U is also replaced with a sequel on the Switch, so you could get a Switch instead if you have a bit more money, and you can play most of the same games, because there's like Super Mario 3D World, and then there's Super Mario Odyssey on the Switch. And then there's a lot of games that were ported, like New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe was ported, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze was ported, and then there's also equivalents like Yoshi's Crafted World and Yoshi's Woolly World. They're pretty much like super similar games, and if you really want to play Yoshi, you can play it on the Switch or the Wii U. So that kind of makes the Wii U a little bit irrelevant, considering most of the games on the Switch are even better. Like if you compare Splatoon to Splatoon 2 or Mario Maker to Mario Maker 2. Or especially Smash Ultimate compared to Smash Bros for Wii U. So there's not really that many exclusive Wii U games that you'll really want to play on it. The next thing I want to talk about, this will only apply to some people maybe, but for me, I find it's pretty hard to find games sometimes if you're looking to buy a physical game. You can't always find the one that you want, and sometimes it's expensive on like eBay and stuff. And then you also can't find Pro controllers, so I really wanted the Wii U Pro controller. I think it's a really good controller, but I just couldn't get one. So, I don't know, on eBay I couldn't find any, and then I couldn't find any local stores because the Wii U is so old. So that's another thing to just keep in mind. It might be hard to find the things that you're looking for. So with buying a Wii U, since it's an older console, everything you get for it is going to be used. So that comes with a bunch of problems, like it could be scratched, and it just could not work properly. It could be dirty. Just tons of things like that. The discs can be scratched because the Wii U uses discs. And because they're mostly used, they are gonna maybe be scratched sometimes. So if you're buying something used, make sure you can return it. Because if you can't return it, it might not be worth it, or at least see the disc to make sure there's no scratches first. Because it would really suck if you bought a game and it doesn't work because it's all scratched up, and then you can't do anything about it. You really just wasted your money. So that's all the bad things I can say about the Wii U. Now onto the good things. And I think there's quite a few more good things about the Wii U than there is bad things, because I overall think it's a really great console. So let's get started with the reasons why I think that you should buy a Wii U in 2020. So we're going to get started with some smaller reasons that I still think you should definitely consider, but at the end there's a massive reason. I think this is probably the main reason that if you're buying a Wii U, this is probably the main reason why you'll buy it. So let's get started with some smaller ones. The graphics are actually pretty good. So the graphics on the Switch, they are amazing, and it makes a lot of people think that the Wii U has bad graphics, and people talk about how it's not a very powerful console. That makes people think that the graphics are bad, but they're really not. They actually look like really, really good. So if you're maybe concerned about that, you think it's gonna look really bad, don't be concerned. It will look fine. It looks really good, especially in like 3D World and Pikmin 3. Those games, they look amazing on the Wii U. So the next upside is that the games are super, super cheap because you're gonna be buying them used and they're pretty old. And the Wii U isn't like some crazy popular console that everyone wants. The games aren't going to cost too much. They're probably going to be, for me, in Canadian dollars. I know I was using US dollars earlier, but it's like $15 to $30 is usually the price you'll pay for it in, I don't know what that is in US dollars, but that's not that much compared to Switch games especially, which are way, way more. So you're going to be able to get a lot more games for a cheaper price. Like, as I said earlier, there's ports like Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. You'll be able to play those games even though they're almost exactly the same game for a lot cheaper, and there's really not too much different about it. Something that I feel like the Switch is kind of missing, so there's good Zelda games on the Switch. Obviously, there's Breath of the Wild and then Link's Awakening. I didn't love Link's Awakening, but Breath of the Wild was amazing. So if you are the type of person who likes playing those Ocarina of Time type of 3D Zeldas, where it's not the 2D Zeldas and it's not the Breath of the Wild type of 3D Zeldas, there's nothing like that on the Switch. The Wii U definitely has that, a lot of that type of game. It's really, really good because there is Wind Waker HD, which looks amazing, and then I can't remember it, but it's the more realistic one. I'll put a picture of it on screen right now. I don't have that one because I can't seem to find it for cheap. It's always like the full price. So this next reason, it's huge. It's not the one. Okay, so I guess the audio just completely stopped recording there, so hopefully nothing got too messed up, but what I was saying, this is a massive reason why you should buy the Wii U, and it's Super Mario 3D World. So, like, a lot of people don't like this game, but there's some people like the Switch Stop guy, I think his name is Thomas, and also, I love 3D World. There's some people who just really, really love it, and then there's a lot of people who don't like it. I personally love it. It's one of my favorite games of all time, so I definitely recommend, if you buy a Wii U, then buy 3D World. 3D World was actually the whole reason I bought a Wii U, so I was just hoping for a Switch port, and then it never came, so I just bought a Wii U, because it was pretty cheap. Now, this reason to buy a Wii U is huge, so like I said earlier, this is probably going to be why you buy a Wii U if you buy one, and it is the virtual console. So I was kind of calling this this console like a mega console. You can play so many different types of games on this console. So you can obviously play the Wii U games. We talked about those a little bit. You can also play Wii games just by putting the disc in. And then there's also a virtual console, and you can download Wii games from the virtual console. So anything you don't have a disc for, so you can just download Wii games to your Wii U. The virtual console also has N64 games, which is awesome. So that's really cool because I don't really want to buy an N64, but I'd still like to play Super Mario 64. I haven't bought it yet. It also has SNES and NES games, which is really like obvious that those are in the virtual console. But then some other things you might not have realized is that it has Game Boy Advance and DS games. So DS games is really cool that you can play those on the Wii U. They look kind of blurry on the big screen, but you can also play them on the gamepad, which is really nice. And then you can also play TurboGrafx 16, something like that. I don't know what that is, but you can play those games on it too. So that's 7 consoles, not including the Wii U games that you can play on it. So if you're looking to like play a ton of games that you would have to buy like a bunch of systems in order to play usually, you can do that with the Wii U. You won't be able to play every N64 game, but the main ones are there, like Super Mario 64. So pretty good option if you are looking to play some of the older games that you just like don't want to spend tons of money on all the different pieces of hardware. So that last part was without the camera because the camera just died a few seconds ago. That's the reason for that. So to give you the conclusion, should you play the Wii U in 2020? So I'm going to have a different answer for depending on what type of person you are. So if you don't have a Nintendo console already, then I wouldn't recommend getting the Wii U. I'd recommend buying the Switch instead. The games are going to be a bit more expensive and the console's just going to be $50 more if you get a Switch Lite. But if you get a regular Switch, then definitely it's more expensive, but I think it's worth it if you don't have any Nintendo systems yet. But if you already have a Switch and you just want to play more games, like maybe you want to play 3D World or Pikmin 3. Pikmin 3 is an amazing game. That's a huge reason why you could buy a Wii U, because it does have some exclusive games that the Switch doesn't even have. So if you already have a Switch, then the Wii U is not very much money, and then you can play some of the Switch games like that were like New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. You'll just be able to play that on the Wii U for way cheaper, and it's the same game. So if you already have a Switch, buy the Wii U. If you don't have a Switch yet, then I definitely don't think you should buy the Wii U. But you still can if you want. I don't think it's a bad console at all. So if I look a little bit like a chipmunk in this video, it's probably because I got the wisdom teeth surgery, so it kind of swells. And something else that's kind of interesting you maybe want to be excited for is if you come back to my channel, it's probably going to be on Friday. It's going to be completely rebranded. It's going to look really cool. I'll put some pictures of the designs that I'm planning to put on it, like the profile picture, everything like that. I think it's going to look amazing. I know I mentioned I was working on changing them in one of my past videos. It's actually happening this Friday, so be ready for that. New intro, new like everything. So make sure you subscribe, and if you'd like to see more videos about the Wii U, then be sure to leave a like on this video. So if it gets a lot of likes, then I'll probably make more videos on the Wii U. Bye.